Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of HERspace Unscripted. As always, I'm your host, Angela, and today's episode is our third episode of our Pivot with Purpose winner. And today we have Miss Alexis. Welcome to HERspace, Miss Alexis.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for applying and coming and sharing your story. So we'll kind of start there. Tell me a little bit about Alexis and why you applied for Pivot with Purpose.
Yeah, okay. So I'm a mom. I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
So you busy?
Yeah, very. I'm a micro influencer in TikTok, and I'm a lash tech that is currently on a break right now. So, yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the things that, you had mentioned in your application that we selected for Pivot because you at one point had a business of your own, in essence, right? You were doing your lash and then we didn't. And now we're transitioning from relationships and being different. And so tell me about that.
Yeah, so I actually started the process in 2022. I've always been into like makeup, my lashes, my lips, my hair, everything. Like I've always been into that. And lashes is kind of one thing that has always really caught my eye. I've always been interested in like how it works and how the classes works and things like that. And so I really looked into it in 2022. I got my licenses and stuff. And then the end of 2022 is when I started looking for a space.
Okay.
Found a space, and that's kind of when like my journey really started. Just really building my clientele, getting to know people. And I'm actually a very shy person. So talking to like clients and kind of really getting to know them while I'm working on their lashes was actually really hard for me.
It was the hardest part?
Yeah,
really?
It was really hard because like I didn't know what to talk about. I didn't know, and then their eyes
You're
are
just
closed.
there like,
yeah, and I'm just like,
sup?
Yeah, so it was really awkward for me at first, but I really enjoyed doing it. So I had to kind of get out of my comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah.
But then in 2024, I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter.
Okay.
Mind you, she was unexpected. So I actually had the IUD with her. And I don't know what happened. It wasn't, one day it was there, one day it wasn't.
Sounds like my daughter, Morena. You're screwing up, guys. You're screwing up. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, she kind of came out of the bloom, and with the boys, I never got sick. Like I had so much energy. Like I was, always good. I was able to be out doing things, eat whatever I want. And with her, totally opposite. Like I could not get out of bed. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do nothing. So when I'm sitting there trying to do lashes, mind you, lashes, it's like a 2-hour process per se. And there was no way I was going to sit there for 2 hours per client.
Well, not only that, but like how you have to sit, right? Like,
and
you have to put
hurts.
pressure on your back and your stomach, which already sucks when you're pregnant.
And then not only that, like
I never thought about that.
Yeah. And then I would feel like nauseous all day long. So there was just absolutely.
You're like, I was not trying to throw up on anybody's face.
No.
Like,
no. So that was already a downfall for me. And I just wasn't like motivated, because I'm just going through all of these changes. I hadn't had a baby in the last 3 years. So I know 3 years probably doesn't seem a lot, but it really is, it's like, man, like I wasn't expecting it. Like I was pretty satisfied, with my boys and everything. And then having a girl was so different for me. So it was just a lot. And I was like, no, there's absolutely no motivation here at all. And I think that's kind of where like the life changes started happening, between my relationship is when that pivot started coming in the mix of me being pregnant. And my kid's dad was really struggling with alcoholism at the time. And the day that I found out I was pregnant with her, I also found out that he had like a drug addiction going on too, which clearly I had no idea because he's never been that type of person, like I've been with the same person for the last 13 years. Like he's all I've ever known.
Grew up together in essence.
Yeah, we basically grew up together and built a whole life together. So the person that he was in that point in time was not the person that I initially met, so like that was a huge change for me. And I'm like, I don't know what the heck's going on.
Things were already freaking changing. And not to mention your whole ass body changes when you're pregnant, right? Like, so you have hormones you've never dealt with before in your life. You have, and then, that's a That's a tough time you went through.
Yes,
all at
for
once.
sure. And I think at that point, like, I don't think I was necessarily giving up on my dream. I think it was just more like, this is too much for me. Like, I need to put a standstill on this because I need to figure out what I'm doing with my life, how I'm, gonna go around this change with my kids, kind of just things like that.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that was a lot at once too. Man.
Yeah.
Sometimes when it rains, it pours, huh?
For sure. And it felt like it kept pouring, as like I was going through the pregnancy and then I had her, and it was just like things that were going and going and going. And, their dad has always been a great dad. Like he's always done his part. He's always helped me. He's not that type of person like, oh, I don't do diapers. I don't, he's always been the type like getting up at night. And so I've always appreciated him in that sense. But I just think he's had like a lot of mental battles that he was going through within himself.
Yeah.
And, men themselves, they don't know how to like deal with their emotions.
Yeah.
So like that was hard. That was hard for him. And I always told him, like I never wanted that life for my kids, only because I went through that when I was younger. I went through like
it was an even bigger trigger
for
it to
for sure.
happen.
And not only did I go through it when I was younger, but so did he. So we always were kind of on the same page in the sense of we want better for our kids. We don't want to, we want to like ruin that cycle. You know what I mean? We don't want to keep repeating the cycle.
Yeah,
so
your kids aren't going to say that was their story, like you get to say.
Yeah, for sure. That. And that was a big reason why I was like, you know what, like which way do I go? Like, do I continue this route and try to help, him get better? Or am I ruining him by staying with him? And do I need to let him do his own thing and really figure it out? And that's kind of where I made that decision this year. Like, you know what, I think enough's enough. Like, if I continue to enable what's going on, like, either I'm going to lose you and my kids are going to lose you and you're never going to change, or a light bulb's going to come up and you're going to do what you have to do, because, what we built together, we built from the ground literally up, for the last 13 years, because we've literally been together since I was 13. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, what I was doing at 13 dating, I have no idea, but
hey,
to each his own, I guess. But
you're like, my daughter will in fact not have the same story. We will make sure of it. Yeah, but but you have your babies. It's all your story, right? It's intentional. It's supposed to be your story. So a lot of pivoting, lot of, because baby's how old now?
She's 1.
She's 1. Mm-hmm. So, body's finally getting back. Hormones are finally getting back, which is probably, how you were able to make a conscious choice this year to, start making some different pivots, some more mindful pivots. So what is that? You applied for Pivot with Purpose. What is that for you? Like, what is your pivot? What are you trying to move towards now?
Basically, just being back to myself, really. That's like my biggest thing, is just getting back to what I love to do, getting back to my normal self. I feel like these last 2 years, I haven't been myself. I haven't, I've been really putting everybody before me and been pushing my feelings aside and, my healing and things like that. And I think finally this year I was like, nope, like I need to really focus on myself and my kids and, go to therapy and get that healing. And because from where I grew up with my family, like therapy wasn't a thing, therapy was like, no, you can figure it out yourself. Like you can deal with it. Like
we don't share our problems.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah. And I went without anybody knowing, like, I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to do what I have to do. And it was like the greatest thing ever for me.
Yes, girl. I preach therapy. I'm like, literally just on the last episode, I'm like, go to therapy. I am a firm believer, because I think it has such this negative connotation only because people think that, like if you need therapy, you're fucked up. And it's like, not necessarily. But at the same time, I was pretty fucked up. I mean, let's be honest, right? Like when I needed therapy and when I felt like it was because I was a little messed up. And I got to the point where I didn't want to live like that anymore, right? So it wasn't a matter of, I can't control my life anymore, or I'm failing, or it wasn't even that. In fact, it was the opposite.
Right.
Is that how you felt? Like it was finally what it's like, I chose therapy because I finally chose me.
Right. No, yeah, that's exactly how I felt. And for the longest time, I kept telling myself, like, I can't do it by myself. How am I going to do it by myself? Financially, how am I going to get my kids to and from, because they have baseball. my daughter has gymnastics, you know, things like that. And finally, when I stopped and thought about it, and I'm like, you can do it by yourself. You know, you just feel like you can't, you feel like you have to depend on somebody. And that's another thing. Like, I feel like us women always feel like we have to have somebody to fall back on, but really we don't. Like, we have to also be that person where we have to hide our feelings. We have to, you know, be the bare bone for everybody else. Like, there's nobody for us to fall on because everybody else falls on us. And I just think I got to the point where I was like, I'm so tired of that. Like, if I'm going to fall, I need somebody to catch me, you know, because I catch everybody else. And that's kind of, and the only reason why I really started thinking like that was because one day I had like a whole mental breakdown in the bathroom because my biggest thing is I don't like for my kids to see me have those emotions. You know, I don't want them to see me breaking down. I want them to see like the strong version of me. And my kids have a tendency of opening bathroom doors.
You mean you don't got no privacy?
Yeah, no. And I literally was just sitting there, and little Angel came in and he opened the door and he saw me crying and he's like, Mom, like, it's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And I really took that in and I was like, you know what? He's right. Like, we are going to be okay. Like, it's not the end of the world, you know, it's just, it's a change. It's a change not only for me, but for them. And even little Angel, you know, realizes, yes, it's a change and we're not together as a family right now, but I still have my dad. I still have my mom. Like, we're going to be okay, you know? And I really, really took that in.
It'd be your kids.
Oh,
I
yeah.
tell you, they drive me nuts, but man, do they save you. You know, I'm hearing this. So you're the third episode for the Pivot with Purpose winners. And what I like this trend that I'm hearing is like, first of all, we all like to break down in the bathroom apparently.
Right.
Because that's like something that is continuously being said. But, you know, I shared on that episode, and I'll share it in this space too, is because I used to be like that with my kids too, where I didn't want to show them how I was feeling or show them, right? Like, I don't believe in, like, especially our younger kids, right? I don't need them seeing me on the floor crying, right? That's not that. But allowing them to see that mom does struggle and allowing them to see that mom does have emotions and allowing them to see that, I think has been the biggest change with my kids from when I was a kid.
Right.
Because whenever I started having to life and life started kicking my ass because it's inevitable,
right,
I felt like such a failure because I cried,
right,
because it was hard, because I would find myself on the bathroom floor and I would crash out. And I never saw my mom do that. I never saw my mom do that. So what's wrong with me?
right,
Like, why can I not carry this? Like, I'm failing, right? Like, I'm failing at life because I never saw my mom crash out. Like, I never saw my mom cry. She was so strong and I'm not strong enough. And I realized, like, nah, bro, like, we all crash out. And we're supposed to, right? Like, we're supposed to have, what do we call it with the kids? Big feelings, I call them the big feelings, right? With my kids. You know, it's normal to have big feelings. What we have to do is teach them that we all have the big feelings. We sit in them for as long as we need to, and then we move on. Right. Like you said, Angel's like, it's okay. And you're like, well, shit, it is okay.
right.
And guess what? He probably learned more from that moment than when you were strong.
Yeah.
Because he saw you fall. He saw you had big feelings. And then now he's seeing you. Mm-hmm. He's seeing you like, okay, mom, like, we're doing it.
Right.
So I don't know. Like, I just always have felt like it's a little different, you know, because I don't know. Was that with you? Like, when I never saw my mom like crash out. Like, I never saw her crying. She was just so strong.
Yeah. Like, my mom always figured it out, you know, like I don't even know how we made it to where we have, you know, because like I said, I came from like the same background when I was younger, and my mom always made sure that we had what we needed. We, you know, as far as a home, as far as food, everything like that. Like, my mom always figured it out, regardless whether my dad was there or not. You know,
and you didn't like see it. It didn't look as hard as we know it is now because I'm a mom now, right? Like, I know that shit was hard, but when it just didn't look hard,
right?
Like, it was like she did it, Like, you know. And so then when it did end up hard and it ended up heavy, it was like, fuck, I suck, like, you know. So. But now look at, like, you're turning this corner and it sounds like, you know, you're like ready for this next. So what is that? What's next? What's the next?
I'm just really ready, like I said, to just do what I love to do best. I'm ready to open those doors again.
So you're gonna get your own space again.
Yes.
So we're going to go back to lashy. I love it.
It's just something I always lean back to every single time. And I'm like, I really enjoy it. I really, really do. And it's something that I've always liked to do. And the only difference this time is I actually have an extra space in my home. So it'll be a lot better for me because nowadays trying to rent out a space, it's pretty pricey. It's pretty pricey. And I'm like, man, like I really wouldn't benefit off of it, but I continue to do it because my whole thing, and a big reason why I even started it, was I wanted to be affordable. That was a big thing for me because there's times where I was, living paycheck by paycheck, but I still wanted to get my nails done or get my hair done or do something to where I felt like, I looked good for myself or things like that. And it was hard for me to do that when lashes alone, people's starting prices were $115. And to me, I'm like, this is outrageous, and, it's pretty pricey, which I get it. They have to make their profit and things like that. But because I was barely starting, I wanted to build that clientele, but be very affordable for girls like me, people like me. And I did a lot of, giveaways and collabed with nail techs and things like that so that we can really give back to everybody that was supporting us in our businesses and stuff.
I love that because when we finally take those moments to take care of ourselves, right? They are freaking expensive.
Yes.
Oh my God. Like, and I'm not even like you, right? Like I can't do makeup to save my life. I'm not even a girly girl, right? But I do things like I do get my lashes done because at least I look like I did something to my face.
You can just wake up and walk out
the door. I look kind of like a girl, but it's also, it makes you feel better. Yes. Like it makes you feel good to feel good. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately it costs money to do these things, right? And so all too often, like we don't get that extra feel good because we can't. That's really awesome. I love that. So you are looking to start that, and that's kind of cool. Like it kind of seems like it's aligning for you. Like as you're making this pivot and you're choosing to do, like things are kind of falling in place for you.
Which I'm so thankful for because I'm like, finally, thank you, because
it's been a rough 2 years.
For sure. And I think in all aspects in my life right now, things are kind of falling apart. Even, I care for their dad a lot, and he's even doing things to be better for himself and for his kids. And he started therapy, and, he's been sober for the last 2 months. And, things like that. I'm like, okay, now I can really start putting my stuff, into play because things are just finally starting to work out in the ways that they should.
Yeah. So how does that feel? Because I know when you're living it, man, that shit feels like a hole you're never going to get out of. Because I've lived very similar relationships where that was and then postpartum and all these things, they're heavy.
Oh yeah.
And when you're in it, sometimes it's a hole that
you just don't think you can get out of ever. And I think my biggest motivation, truthfully, was the kids. Honestly, I feel like if it wasn't for my kids, and when I was younger, I always told everybody, I'm not having kids.
Me too.
I'm never having kids. I'm going to be
true down, but I swore I wasn't.
And here I am, 3 kids later, but I wouldn't change it for the world because if it wasn't for them, who knows, how I would get out of it. They're my biggest motivation. They're the ones that really pushed me on to getting out of this hole, and that's why I'm so thankful for my kids. And my kids humble me all the time, and I'm like, you know what, I'm learning from them, and
it's weird how that works. Huh?
Yeah. And I just love it. And I'm really thankful that I am a mom, honestly.
Yeah. No, same. I'm like, I love you guys now. I just didn't think I wanted you back then. But I think, I don't know if you're a spiritual person, but for me, I'm like, okay, God knew. God knew, because there was, my daughter saved me from my abusive marriage, right? Because I was I chose to stay in that space for whatever reasons. I chose to stay in that space for as long as I did. But for her, I was she doesn't deserve that life. Right. That's not going to be her story. That's not going to be her family. That's not good. And so that was why. But God only knows, if, my IUD baby, if that didn't happen, what that could have looked like.
Right. No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And they don't even know it, and they drive me nuts.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so right now, what does it look like for Alexis in 2 years? If you would look ahead, what does 2 years from now look like for you?
I think for me, I'm really hoping to be really successful in, the lash industry, because I really just want to let go of my 9 to 5 that I have right now and just really be more present with the kids, especially because they're in baseball. I've had to really miss out on a lot of, the things and the events. Thankfully, their dad is very involved in that, which I'm thankful for, but I'm very much the type, like, I love my pictures and I love to be there and, things like that. And my 9 to 5 really gets in the way of that. And so my biggest goal is, if I can make lashes my, 100% business, especially being able to do it out of my home and I have my own schedule, so I can be with my kids, like, that is my biggest goal, honestly.
Yeah. What about you as a woman? What does that look like 2 years from now?
Just like a stronger person, honestly, not being afraid of hiding my feelings and being more open. I've always been, kind of like you, where I kind of just in my shell and don't say anything to anybody. And I think right now everybody kind of in my family comes to me a lot because I've never realized how strong of a person that I really am until my family comes to me and they're like, you give the greatest advice. Like, this is why we come to you with certain types of things, because you know how to word things, you know how to tell us to get around situations or what you would do. And I don't think I see that, because in my head, I'm like, my life's falling apart. Like, why do you come to me?
I'm a hot ass mess. Yeah. Why are you asking me?
Right. So I really want to give myself more credit, in the next few years. Like, I really just want to give myself more credit and really value myself. And because I don't think I value myself as much as I should. So.
Yeah. So if there's any viewers right now that are in the hole, what would you tell them?
Always have a plan B. Always. That's always been my advice for anybody. And that is, in any type of situation, you could have the greatest relationship, the dream home, the dream everything. Always have a plan B, and just know that there's always a get out, you're going to be okay. Like my son said, like, you're going to be okay. We're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like,
and I love that you said that, because I tell my daughter that all the time, right? She's 16. She's going to start living life, and she, and I'm like, she wants to be a mother. Like, she tells me all the time, like, I can't wait to be a mom. I can't wait to be married. She wants to be at home and making the meals and doing all the things. And I love that for her. I do. I love that for her, but I always tell her, but baby, make sure you got a plan B.
mm-hmm.
Because when I left her dad, it took me so long to make that happen, because I didn't.
Right.
I didn't go to school. I was an at-home wife and mom. I wasn't doing shit. I mean, not to say that being at home, like, I just mean as far as being able to make my own money and go somewhere and do something, right? I had no work experience for the longest time. And those things all matter when you're trying to make that transition into a different space. And so it's like, never get stuck. Like and it's not to say that I wish this wouldn't work, because I think that's part, and I think some men even feel that way. Like, what do you mean you have a plan B? But it's like, look, you should too. Why don't you? Like, like, we
just
all
never know.
should.
Yeah. You're not guaranteed what you have.
Exactly. Because I look back in life and I'm like, whew, girl, like, none of that shit was on the plan. Like, none of that shit was part of the plan. Like, how did that happen? How did I end up here? None of it. None of it was part of the plan, but yeah, I think I love that you said that.
And honestly, I think the reason why I started thinking that was because in the mix of all of this stuff that was happening, when I was pregnant with my daughter, there was a point in time where I was like, screw this. Like, I would call in, I would, I just could not go to work. And at the time we had one vehicle, and when he would go like on a binge or whatever, the vehicle was under his name. And there was a time where we were arguing, and he took the car and he told me, now find your way to and from. Oh. That stuck with me. That really stuck with me. And I was ouch. Like, okay. The following week, I took like a couple of days off, didn't say nothing, went to El Paso, found me a vehicle, showed up with it. And I said, I'll always make sure I have a plan B now. And I did. From that point on, I always made sure I had things under my name. The house was, things like that. To me, I was like, okay, am I being ugly about the situation? Because I don't want to be ugly about the situation. But in that moment, I was like, I need to have a plan B, no matter what.
But I think that was it, right? Like, 'cause it's not to be ugly.
Right.
It's not to be ugly. It's not to hope this is going to fail. It's not because I'm planning for this to fail, right? But it's just because, and this is how I am now. So now I'm like, no matter who I date, no matter who I choose to bring in and out of my life, no matter who, my day-to-day with my kids will never be impacted the way it was when I had to leave her dad. Like, I will never be homeless. I will never, because I will make sure that never happens again. Right? And it's not because I'm being ugly. It's not because I'm bitter. It's not because I think that everybody's going to screw me over. And no, it's because that feeling, man, that feeling is the shittiest feeling I've ever had in my life.
For sure.
Was that he was right. I fucking didn't. Yeah. I didn't have a way to take care of my daughter. I didn't have a house. I didn't have a job. I didn't have money. The one thing I did have was a car, but I didn't have a house. I didn't have a job. I didn't have, right? But it was like, I didn't. And my choices as an adult were now impacting my baby.
Right.
And I think that was when it was, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
Like, so guess what?
Yeah, for sure.
I got to make sure that shit never happens again.
Yeah, and to this day, I'm like, nope, I have to make sure that I have everything in the line, because you never know. You can have the greatest life. Everything could be going right, in that moment, but you just never know. It could fall through the cracks at any point in time.
Yeah, and you're praying that it doesn't, right? Like you're praying that it's, but guess what? If it does, I got me and my kids.
Right.
And well, good for you. That's an amazing thing, and I think it's hard.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to come out of a hole.
It's hard, but it's not
hard.
Impossible.
No, not at all. But sometimes it feels that way.
Oh yeah.
When you're going through that shit, sometimes
for
it
sure.
feels that
that's why I said my kids have humbled me a lot, because I'm like, you know what, this is it. My life's over. I'm done. And my kids are like, no.
Yeah.
Like this is just the beginning. This is not it,
Yeah.
And for them being as little as they are, like, I'm really shocked on how they see things and how they talk. And I'm like, man, like, I'm learning a lot from you guys.
Well, and I think that, hopefully at least you see that as like, okay, I'm doing something right. Like, even when everything else is falling apart, right? Like, clearly, these little humans are doing pretty good. So I got to be doing something right.
Right.
Yeah. Hi, these kids, I tell you. Drive me nuts and save my life. I don't know. So I am so excited and so thankful that you shared your story and came into this space. What would you like, before we end, what would you like to leave as what the message? What's the message? What would you like to make sure that you say before we move on?
Basically, just keep going, honestly. Don't give up. Keep going. If you have little ones, listen to them, because they're going to be your biggest support system. Honestly, they're your biggest support system. They're going to be your biggest motivation, but even if you don't have little ones, like, just don't give up. Like, there's always some type of light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to go through the storm, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm so happy to hear you're on the other side of your storm. And I'm so glad we were able to help support you and get you to have your studio again.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yes,
thank you so much.
I can't wait to see it. And yeah, congratulations. Thank you for coming into our space.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming into our space. Like, share, comment, do all the things, and we'll see you next time.